outside the box. Hi, welcome to another episode. Today we're going to focus in on historical happy stories. Okay, I thought I'd switch it up a little bit this time. It was actually a subscriber request, so thank you. You know who you are. Thank you for requesting that, and we'll go ahead and see if this actually works out. If you guys want to know more about the happy historical Black history stories, just let me know. Comment below. Also, hi, if you're new to my channel, hi. I'm going to ask, if you don't mind, if you will like, share, and subscribe. And also, if you're a returning person to my channel, welcome back. Thank you very much. Today's menu is going to be, it's kind of like surf and turf today, actually. We've got our cold Mugs root beers, which we just took out the freezer. I've got our Minnie Mouse cup. We've got cupcakes for dessert. They are vanilla. They're frosted with strawberry as well as, I don't know, what's that? Just yellow. And then today we have different kinds of cakes. So we've got the shrimp cakes, we've got the crab cakes, and we've got the lobster cakes today. Then we've also got kebabs. I got 2 kebabs. One is sausage, sweet sausage. And then the other one is spicy sausage. Let's not get those two mixed up. I think I drizzled a little bit of hot sauce on the spicy one, so we wouldn't get it mixed up. I've also got a steak one, and then I've also have a chicken one. And of course we have our chips, and we've got the crab chips today. So, let's go ahead and eat. Let's see what everybody picks up first. I did remember to bring the napkins. We've got the napkins. We've got plates. And I actually have forks today, just in case somebody wants to go ahead and eat with forks. And here's the forks. So let's see what everybody picks up today. Picks up first today. I'm going to go for a crab cake. So I'm going to put the napkins over here, forks. So how's everybody doing today? I sure hope that you are eating at your mealtime with us. You can enjoy the meal while you're listening to the happy story time today. Usually we do historical horror stories, but today we're going to do a happy story. Try and switch it up just a little bit. I got to try the lobster cake first, guys. Sorry. Lobster cake and some chips. Everybody else dig in. Let's go, dig in. Chips. That looks good. Cold. It's hot today. It's like 100 degrees. I don't know where you are. But it's like 100 degrees today. And you got to show the camera. That was a great kebab right there. I think he has the hot sausage. Let's see. My Mickey Mouse cup. Minnie Mouse, sorry. All right. Here you go. Cheers. Cheers to a happy mukbang today. This is so good. Sorry, guys. It's really hot today. And I'm going to try a little bit of my cake. This is the lobster cake. Give it a pinch of that. One of my subscribers said, oh, could you please make sure we get the first bite? I was like, okay. I'll remember to give you guys the first bite. So here we go one more time. That's the lobster cake. And let's open that puppy up. And inside is deliciousness. That's not bad. You can taste the lobster chunks in all different kinds of seasoning. And then I'm going to add it in with a chip. And I'm going to add them. Okay, guys, forgive me. It's a couple things happening today. So, I try to go through each mukbang and I try to improve on each one. I'm not really good with technology, and most of my kids no longer live with me. I have one that lives near me, so she helps me. But I try to add different lightings. I try to screw the cameras in. And I bought a new camera. Usually I do it on my laptop. And then I did my laptop with an upgraded webcam. And then today, I'm doing the laptop, my regular laptop one. But I also bought a new camera. So I'm trying to see if this camera, because it has a microphone built in. So I'm trying to see if the camera is better or if my laptop is better. So, whichever one is better, that's the one I'll post. And I'll also plop it in the comments so you'll know which one I did. The camera or the laptop. So, please forgive me if I'm looking here. When I'm looking here, then I'm looking here, then I'm looking here. Because I'm trying to figure out which one's going to be the ones that I post. So that's first. Second off, you know, I always need my glasses. I have my glasses over to the side because I have my handy dandy notebook. It has the notes that I need for today's story. Keeps me on track. A nice outline with all the research that I did today. So, before we get started with today's story, does anybody know about this huge controversy that's on the internet now about the Disney princesses? I didn't know this was like a huge thing until I was just like watching it and just digging around, researching today's story. So for me, my favorite princess, Disney princess, was always Belle. I just thought Belle was adorable. She's intelligent. She was independent. Belle was always my favorite. But then after I looked at all the different controversies about Belle and her having Stockholm Syndrome, now she has Stockholm Syndrome, which is hilarious. I've now picked somebody else. But before I tell you who I picked, I'm going to ask my daughter, who is here today, well, who's her favorite Disney princess?
Well, I was going to say Belle.
She was going to say Belle.
But maybe Ariel?
Okay, she's going with Ariel. And I know my oldest daughter, who was here last week by remote, what hers was Aurora, Sleeping Beauty. I don't know why, because Aurora did nothing. And then it changed. I think it changed to somebody. So let's just go with Aurora right now so she can correct me. So after all this research that I'm doing, and especially with this whole big controversy, it's a big thing. My new Disney princess, favorite Disney princess, is Mulan. And I was like, well, Mulan does have the best song. To me, she's got the best Disney song. Be a Man. That song is, and I bet it's playing in your head right now. I love that song. She's very feisty, independent. She's not fueled by romance. She just wants to save her family and her people. Admirable traits. Had you ever considered Mulan as one of your favorites? Okay, so the big brouhaha is Mulan actually a Disney princess? Because back in the day, in order to be a princess, you had to marry a prince. At the end of her movie, she does not marry the prince. So then they're talking about, remember that medallion that she gets at the end? Maybe that was the emperor boosting her to princess status. So it was a big controversy. So we can go back and forth. However, for the context of this story, let's concede that Mulan is a Disney princess. So if she's a Disney princess, what about if we have an American princess? This American princess, will she now fall under Disney's new rules? And Disney's new rules about being a princess is as follows. She has to care for others. She has to live healthily. She has to not judge a book by its cover. She has to be honest. She has to be a friend you can trust. She has to believe in herself. She has to right some wrongs. She has to try her best. She has to be loyal. And she has to never give up. Do you actually know somebody like that? This is an actual person this happened in history. And it wasn't that long ago. But before we get into her, I do want to back up just for a second. When my husband and I have 4 children. We have 2 boys and 2 girls. And they are only separated by 6 years. So at one point we had 4 kids under the age of 6. So we had the 3, and then we had the last one. Now this last one was a very adventurous baby. We used to put her in the playpen, and the kids would be in the back room, like the 2 oldest boys would play Sega Genesis, and my other daughter, who's only like a year and a half older than her, she would be playing Barbies. We put the baby in the playpen, and my husband and I would go in the front room, we watch TV, keep the door open so we can still hear the kids, make sure everybody's safe or whatever. We're out there watching TV. 5 minutes later, here comes this little munchkin who's 1 year old running down the hall. We're like, what the? We just put you in the playpen. Pick her up, take her back, put her in the playpen, sit in the front room, chill. 5 minutes later, here she comes running down the hallway. We were like, kids, stop taking her out of the playpen. And they're like, we're not doing it. She keeps busting out of the playpen. So for a long time, her nickname, we used to call her, was Harriet Tubman, because she'd always escape out the playpen. And finally, once the kids got older, they told us how she did it. She used to keep banging on the bars until it broke down. Then she could climb her little fat self out of the playpen and come running down the hallway. So, let me back it up and set the stage for today's story. There is a precious little baby who is born to Harriet and Ben Ross. And this baby, her name is Araminta Ross. And she is born in 1822. Is that correct? Let me make sure. I'm sorry, she's born in 1922?
18.
Thank you, 1822. Wrong notes. Around February and March of 1822 in Dorchester, thank you, Maryland. She is born to her parents, but both of her parents at this time are owned by a slave master. And if you are born as to a slave master, then you are technically considered property. If you are property, that means you have absolutely no rights. You cannot go from here to down the street without explicit permission from your slave master. And it didn't matter how old you were, whether you were 8 years old or 80 years old. Because you were considered property, you gave up you had no rights, absolutely none. So that's the world that Araminta, or Minty, we'll call her Minty from this moment on, Minty grew up in, with her mom, her dad, and her siblings. So as she grew up, as she's getting older, she's around 5 years old, and her slave master started hiring her out to other slave owners. And she was learning the ways of how to be a house person, the slave that actually took care of the house. And if you did that, that means you took care of the babies, you made sure the babies were quiet, because the mistress didn't want to hear babies screaming and hollering. You learned how to prepare the food. You learned how to, keep everything calm, cool, and collected within the house. Remember, she's 5 years old, and she's learning how to do this. So we fast forward a little bit. She's around 9 now. And she said at one point, she was watching one of the babies, and her mistress was arguing. Mistress means the white lady that was the lead of the house, the wife, usually the wife of the house. She was arguing with the master, her husband, and she had her back turned. And so Minty said that she had never had anything nice in her life. She's 9 years old at this point. Never had anything nice, never had anything sweet or lovely. And as she's watching the baby and she's cradling the baby and taking care of the baby while they're over there arguing, she saw a bowl of sugar. She said that she wanted the sugar so bad. While they were arguing, she just took a little, sampling of the sugar, popped it in her mouth. And the mistress must have heard her. She came over, started screaming to her, and she actually beat her with rawhide over sugar. Over sugar. So from that moment on, they determined that she was not going to be in the house. She was considered determined, and she was considered surly. So they no longer wanted her in the house. So she now had to go out into the fields. And Minty said, she was fine with that. She didn't want to be in the house anyway. She was more of an outdoor person anyway. So as they sent her outside, she's getting older now. She went to go work with her father, Ben. And he knew a lot about nature. He knew a lot about being outside because of course he used to work outside, and I'm sure, you know, each generation had passed things down to him. So her father's teaching her different things about nature, different signals, how things change, and she's learning. She's soaking this up as like a sponge. How was the kebab?
Oh, that's good.
You knew the kebab?
I don't know that.
You had the chicken one?
Mm-hmm. The chicken one's right here.
I thought I got the chicken one.
Was that hot?
Nah.
Okay. So that's the hot one right there. Beware. Okay. So as she's learning, Minty is now 15 years old. She's making friends in the field, talking to people. A slave then comes to her. He was kind of around her age. And he tells her, that's it, I'm running away. I can't take it anymore. So he's running away, and the overseer sees him. And he commands for Minty to help hold him, restrain him. And she refuses to do it. She wants to see him get away. So the overseer actually picks up a 2-pound weight. I actually have a 2-pound weight, actually, you know, for my arms. I'm trying to work out. And that's pretty bad. He picks up the 2-pound weight to try and stop the runaway slave. Minty jumps in the middle. He hurls it, and it hits her in the skull, and actually cracks her skull open. She said it cracked wide open. Now she's damaged. They take her back to where she needs to lay down, and she's actually in sort of like in a coma from Christmas until March. She's unable to work. All she's doing is laid up. And she said the whole time that she recollects, she was praying to God. She was praying and increasing her faith. So she does actually come out of the coma, and they start to send her back to work. And from that moment on, she started to have like these fainting spells. And I actually looked it up, and they said that they determined from her symptoms that what she had was narcolepsy. So these fainting spells will now plague her for the rest of her life because of this thing that this overseer did by throwing that weight at her head. So as she's working, she's older now. She's getting older. She marries a man, and his name is John Tubman. Those chips are good. You know we are with Obey on this channel. They're covered in Obey. It's delicious. You gotta try it. She marries a man named John Tubman. He's a couple years older than her. He's free. She's still a slave. Her master is not going to let her go. So it's kind of weird working that out. So they can't really live together, but they can see each other. So they were together. However, the whole time, Minty is saying that she wants to be free. She doesn't like bondage. She doesn't believe that that's a part of God's plan for people to be in bondage. So they hear through the grapevine that the master is having money problems. And because of this, Minty and 2 of her family members, I believe it's her brothers, are about to be sold. Remember, they live in Dorchester, Maryland. So now they're going to be sold further south. Minty's not having it. So she's like, they're going to run away. They're going to run up to the north. So her brothers agree. Let's go to brothers. Her brothers agree. So they decide to hurry up, pack up whatever little bit they had, and they're going. They're gone off the plantation. The brothers got so anxious and apprehensive that they were like, we can't do this. Because remember, if they caught you, You would pray for death. They would hobble you. They would beat you mercifully. They would whip you. They would do other things to torture you so that you won't ever think about running away again. So the brothers were like, we can't do this. We got to go back. Meant to actually turn around and go back. And she was like, no, I can't. I'm not doing this. I'm going to the north. So at this moment, she's feeling like, why is it that I have to choose between my family and freedom? What kind of life is that? That you actually have to choose between family and freedom? Can you imagine that? In that moment, that's what she had to choose. And so she begrudgingly chose freedom. And she let her brothers go back to the plantation and she ran. Now I need you to picture this, because she left in the fall. And some of us who have actually been to Maryland know, you know, it's not all cities. There are some rural areas there. She's traveling at midnight, pitch black, no candles, no flashlights, no cell phones. All she has to guide her is her faith in God, her knowledge that her father gave her about being a naturalist, using your environment, your surroundings, and the North Star. Now, me, I love the stars. When I go outside at nighttime, I love looking up and seeing how wonderful they are. And I had learned a couple of constellations when I was a kid. So I always look for Cassiopeia. I always look for Orion. Orion's my favorite because it's almost always there. So I was like, where the heck is the North Star? So I had to Google it, right? I'm Googling it. Come to find out, the North Star, if you can find the Big Dipper, which is usually there. If you can find the Big Dipper, okay, so the Big Dipper looks like a spoon, right? A big ladle. If you can find the last two stars here on the last part of the pot, like if it was a pot and the water is about to spill out the pot, those two stars of the Big Dipper point down to the handle of the Little Dipper. So the Big Dipper is facing this way, Little Dipper is facing this way. Two stars point down to the handle of the Little Dipper. That first star in the handle of the Little Dipper is the North Star. Let me put it another way. You got the Big Dipper, and you got Cassiopeia, one of my favorites. Cassiopeia looks like a W. It's shaped like a W. The middle point in the W, when the 2 points connect, and the last star in the tail of the Dipper point to the North Star. It's right there in the middle. So next time you go outside, use that information, because that's what she used to help her get to the north. So she's traveling. She's going through, rivers, trying to set off the dog scent because she knew that they were going to be following her. Oh my God.
Plus the North Star was like brighter.
It is. It's brighter than most of the other stars in the night sky. Imagine how scared she was. But she knew that this was what she had to do. So she made it, guys. She made it all the way to Pennsylvania, and that is insane. She walking, not catching a bus, not driving. This woman walked from Maryland to Pennsylvania. And she said when she crossed over into Pennsylvania, I guess she was hoping that it was gonna be a big fanfare and a big old party that, hey, I'm free. She said, well, none of that. But she said she did look down at her hands and she was like, yep, it's the same old me. But she said that the sun was brighter and it felt like there was gold everywhere. And she said she honestly felt like she was in heaven. Can you imagine all that she had just been through? Because she was getting ready to be sold to the South. And for her to make it over that line, and she was free. She was in Philadelphia and she was free. So she found Thomas Garrett and she found William Still. Now, she didn't do this all on her own. Let me back up just for a second. She did meet a Quaker lady when she was still a slave. And this Quaker lady, now the Quakers actually abolished slavery in 1776. They didn't believe that you could own slaves. Just their personal belief as Christians believe you shouldn't own slaves. And so when she saw Harriet Tubman, Minty, when she saw Minty, she said, if you ever need help, I'm this house with these shutters. Come and find me. So when Minty left, she went and found that house. And that's when the lady introduced her to the Underground Railroad. And she was like, okay, where's my ticket? Is the train under the house? And she was like, no, Minty, it's not a train per se. It is a series of safe houses that you will go to en route to freedom. So that along the safe houses, the Underground Railroad, plus her knowledge, plus her faith in God is what got her over that line. And now she's in Philadelphia. So she found Thomas Garrett and William Still. And William Still wrote down a lot of information about slaves who made it, escaped from the South, made it to the North, and were free. And I looked up his book, and it really is very interesting. So you really should look for that. It's got a whole bunch of accounts of different slaves and their stories when they made it to freedom, and he sat down and took their stories. So for about a year, Harriet was chilling. They found her a job in a hotel. She was able to make money for the first time. She was like, what? I get to keep this money. This is my money. I actually get to keep it. She was very shocked about that. So she saved up her money, and then bad news comes. She heard through the grapevine that more of her family is about to be sold to the South. And she couldn't live with that. She couldn't live with the fact knowing that she was free and her family was not. So when she got up to the North, that's when she decided to change her name to Harriet. And she changed it because she decided her mother's name was Harriet. They called her Rit, R-I-T. But her mom's name was Harriet. And her husband's last name was Tubman. And even though he didn't come with her, even though he actually said he was going to write her out if she left, she decided to keep her last name Tubman in honor of him. So now her name is no longer Minty. It is Harriet Tubman. So Harriet goes to William Still, and she says, I can't do this. I can't live my life happily tasting freedom, knowing what freedom is like, and my family is suffering. I gotta go back. And he was like, you're not going back? That's crazy talk. Who makes it all the way to the North and wants to go back to the South? And she was like, you're not going to tell me what to do. I've had enough people telling me what to do all my entire life. I'm now a free woman. I can do whatever I want to do. I'm going back, whether you're with me or you're not. So she goes back. She gets papers that show that she's a free woman. They were forged, but they look, legit. She gets back to the plantation. She starts singing songs. We nowadays know them as Negro spirituals. And this is how the slaves used to communicate with each other without the master knowing. Because they would be on the plantation, they'd be singing songs that included code that only they knew. So one of the songs was Go Down Moses. And I actually wrote the words down real quick. Well, at least I thought it did. I thought it did. Okay, well, let's just say, let me see if I can remember it from memory. It was Go Down Moses, tell the pharaohs to let my people go. So that was one of the songs that she started to sing, and that would let the slaves know that, hey, she's returned. So when she came back, she went to her husband's house because she wanted to go get her husband, and homie had moved on to the next girl. He had moved on to the next chick. And she was devastated by that. So he decided he's not leaving. He's staying there. So she goes and gets her brothers, who are still there. They hadn't been sold yet. The brothers are willing to come along this time, but they've got a whole bunch more people with them now. It's like a crowd. So she had only prepared for like 1 or 2 people, and now she's got a crowd of people she's got to take to the North. And believe it or not, she did it. Again, she would use nature. She knew that the moss on the trees only grew on the north side of the tree. She used the North Star. Now here's something I didn't know. She also used nature calls because remember her father was a naturalist. So she would actually make owl sounds to let the slaves know, hey, it's okay to come out of hiding, or stay where you're hiding, so that the slave masters and the people coming to collect them will stay put. And one of the calls was called the barred owl. And the barred owl, when it makes its noise, it sounds like it's saying, "Who's cooking for you?" I was like, "What? Are you kidding me?" And she said, and that's when she made that noise. It sounded like, "Who's cooking for you?" I was like, "That can't be true. Come on." So I went to YouTube and I googled the barred owl to see if it actually sounded like that. Now I'm going to try and play it so you can hear it, but if not, I'll try and enter it in on the video. But see if you can hear it. You heard it? I think it'll do it one more time. I was like, that is so cool. So she would make that noise, and to the slave masters and the people around, it sounded like a regular old owl. They heard before a million times. But the slaves knew, hey, we got to stay where we're hiding until she tells us to come out. And I was like, this woman is clever. This is unbelievable. So Harriet leads people to Philadelphia. However, at this point, the slave masters were getting tired. They're like, how many slaves have you lost? How many slaves have you lost? They keep losing slaves. So they go to Congress and petition. And they're like, y'all got to do something. It's like you're stealing property from us. So Congress passes the Fugitive Law. The Fugitive Law. And this law states that you can recapture a slave even if they come to the north. So the slaves are thinking that they're free. They're not free. Because if you recapture them, they have to come back with you. So what happened was, now Harriet has to take people all the way up to Canada. I don't know if you know how far it is from Philly to Canada, but it's hundreds of miles that's now added on to her stops. Do you think she got frustrated? Do you think she was like, well, that's it. Nope, I'm good. No, she was more determined than ever to help her people. She kept going back and forth. And I'm not going to mention every trip that she had, but she did help over 17. She did make over 17 trips and help anywhere between 60 and 100 slaves get free. One of them was Charles Nalle, N-A-L-L-E, and he was in Troy, New York, around 1860. Now with Charles, he escaped in 1860 and ran to Virginia. And in retaliation, the slave masters actually sold his brothers, even though the brothers had nothing to do with him escaping. They sold his brothers, and his brothers went south, and they never heard from the brothers again. So Charles was undeterred. He was undeterred. He wanted to meet his wife again in New York. So he made it to Albany, New York, and he was actually stopped by a federal marshal. Federal marshal. The marshal captured him and took him to an upper floor in a building. Now, luck so has it, Harriet was in the area. And Harriet heard about this, and she was like, oh no, this is not going to happen. So she dressed up like an old lady. She went to the building, and she got word to Charles and told Charles to escape out the window when she gave him the signal. The signal was she had a whole bunch of African Americans in the front of the building causing a ruckus. So this is huge ruckus in the front. Charles is able to escape out the back because thanks to Harriet Tubman. Charles gets on the riverboat. He goes across the river. He gets arrested again. I'm not kidding. His name is Charles, Nalle. Dude gets off the boat. He gets arrested again. Harriet's like, no, it's not going to happen. She got those African Americans. They got on the riverboat. They go over to where he was arrested. And they start another ruckus. And it ends up where he was able to slip away from the crowd, from the people that had arrested him because of all the stuff that Harriet had done. And then not only that, but she was actually able to raise $650 for him, which is a lot of money back then, so he could buy his freedom. And there's a plaque. I'll actually insert it here or here. So you can see that this is a part of his story, is a part of her story. She did all of that for him. So remember, she's done this a whole bunch of times, helping people get to the North. But that was just one story that I thought I wanted to share with you, okay? This woman was amazing. Amazing. So she's gotten people up to the North, Canada actually. And she's giving out lectures, she's talking, encouraging folk. The Civil War starts. She's like, I can help. Let me help. So she goes to the Union Army, and she's like, what can I do? They're like, well, you know, you can teach, you can cook. Every mukbang, I get ready to knock my food over. I can teach, I can cook. I can be a scout. I can be a spy for you guys. So they let her do all these different things. She even started a laundry service. Remember, she was a slave, so she knew how to do laundry. So she set up a laundry service so that people could now get paid for that skill. So then she says, I could be a nurse too. They're like, really? Because people keep getting sick. Stop eating just for a second. I'm going to hit this point and then I'm right out. So people kept getting sick with something called dysteria. And dysteria means you keep going to the bathroom all the time. So you're losing vital fluids constantly. They couldn't fix these soldiers. They couldn't fix them. Harriet was like, give me this root, give me this herb, located in Maryland, I'll fix them right up. She mixed those two, the herbs and the roots together. She cured dysteria. She cured it with herbs and roots. So proud of her. I'm so proud of her. She's not done. She's like, I can be a scout. Send me down to the south. I can be a scout. Now it's weird because she spoke one way coming from Maryland. Down south, they speak a little different. There's a different dialect. So it was hard for her to kind of understand what they were talking about. But Harriet had a way about her where people trusted her. And they didn't trust the Union Army soldiers. So, you know, she would ask different questions and things like that. And you know what? She used to dress up. Let me back up just for a second. She used to dress up. She had to stay one step ahead of the people that were chasing her. So at one point they were looking for a man named Moses. Well, first she would dress up like a man and help the slaves get to the North. Then they started looking for a man named Moses. So then she started to dress up like an old lady. Then after she dressed up like an old lady, she used to dress up like a man because one of the rewards said the man, look for a man and he can't read. So she decided to dress up like a man, but she always would carry books with her. So she always had to stay one moment ahead. And I'm also going to remember that she did save her parents as well. And her parents were in they were in their 70s. So they really couldn't run like that. But she was determined to get them off of their plantation. So what she did was she dressed up like an old Quaker lady. Now, most people would think when you go back down to the South, you would carry a gun. And she did carry a gun with her, a pistol. Because she was like, if any slave tried to turn, you know, she would use it for protection, but if any slave tried to turn back, she would threaten them and tell them, either you're going to come with us or you're going to die. Because they would torture those slaves and get all the information about the Underground Railroad. So she did carry a pistol with her. But that's not the point of the story that I'm about to tell you.
Before that, why was they looking for a man called Moses?
because I guess because of the Negro spirituals that she was singing, the Go Down Moses, that song, and also because the people kept putting that person up there like they were Moses because they were letting all the slaves go.
Because she was freeing the slaves, they was nicknamed her Moses, like how Moses did in the Bible. So they nicknamed her Moses, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Thank you. Make sure I got that point clear. Clear? So she did. She dressed up like an old Quaker lady, and instead of bringing a gun with her, she bought a chicken. And you would think, why did she bring a chicken? She walked past the plantation where her parents were, and one of the overseers saw her and started to ask her questions because they were looking for her, remember? So she didn't answer them. She just, and I don't know if you've ever seen a chicken. I love chickens. And at one point, I did actually have chickens as pets because they're just so adorable. Anyway, when you see them run, they are the funniest things ever. Them and penguins. So she drops the chickens and she starts, oh my God, help me find my chickens. Help me look for my chickens. So the overseers are cracking up laughing watching this lady look for chickens that they totally forgot to ask her who she was, why she's there, what's going on. So while they're doing that, she's singing the Moses song, and that alerts her parents, hey, we're about to get out of there. Make sure you know that I'm here so y'all can get on this railroad and we can get out of here. So she uses a wagon in the middle of the night, and she gets her parents up to the north. So that was another clever instance of hers. So she goes, let's go back to where we were. She goes back down to the south, and she's talking to the townspeople and telling them, hey, we're going to have like an uprising, guys. I will send you a signal. When you hear the signal, it's time to go. So she goes back to the Union Army, and they put her on a ship. And she's able to map out the different mines that the Confederacy had put on the river. So that way when the ships came down, because they had to go down the stream in order to attack the plantations, she was able to go around this mine and go around that mine. And they would not have been able to do that without her. They would have actually hit the mines that exploded. So she's going around the mines, leading them around the mines, and she calls out the signal, and hundreds of slaves would come out. They were getting on these boats so that they could get on the main boat so that they could go to freedom. And another interesting part about that story is when the slaves started to get on the rowboats to get to the main boat, they started a ruckus. They were starting these ruckuses. And by the time they got to the main boat, it was almost like utter chaos. And remember, I told you they really couldn't understand each other because it was two different dialects. So what she did was she stood up and she started singing one of the Negro spirituals, and that calmed everybody down. I was like, my God, this woman. So not only is she helping the army with a strategic military operation, but she's calming the people. She's saving slaves and saving lives and burning plantations at the same time. They were burning the plantations because they wanted to stop this influx because the wealth that the South had. They wanted to stop all this stuff from happening, so they would go from plantation to plantation, burning the plantations. Ooh, this one was awesome. My goodness. All right, I think I blew through most of my notes. Yeah. Okay, so in her lifetime, she actually was awarded the Medallion of Services rendered for humankind by the Royal Throne of England. In her life, she freed family, friends, and between 800 to 1,000 slaves, depending on which document you read. She helped the Union Army. She was the first woman to lead an armed military operation in the United States. She was a nurse, a spy, a naturalist, a scout, a conductor on the Underground Railroad. She aided women to earn the right to vote. She helped her family, her people, and her country. And then one of the quotes that I read about her, and they're not sure if she actually said it or not, but I say it totally fits. She says that every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember that you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars and to change the world. To me, is Harriet Tubman an American princess? No. But she surely is an American hero. And she accomplished the impossible. That was the Harriet Tubman.
One more question.
Sure. While we're eating.
What year did she pass in?
She died May 10th. I know I wrote it down.
1913.
I believe it was 1913. I wrote it down.
1913.
Yes, 1913.
At the age of 91.
Most everybody says 91, but I did hear in the last two documents that I read and saw it was 93. So either 91 or 93. Guys, it was such a beautiful story. Because I had heard about Harriet Tubman before, but I didn't know she did all that in her lifetime. And she was not fueled by romance. She just wanted to help her family, her people, and her country. That was amazing. That's just amazing to me. So again, remember this channel is all about us, coming together. We're all about coming together. So let's learn about everybody's history. This is just an amazing story. If you have anything you want to add, did I get something wrong? Did I forget something? Did I get something right? Please add it in the comments below. Do you think she should be an American princess? She is an American hero. Guys, please like, share, comment down below, and hit that notification button so you can hear about the next happy historical story. Thanks, guys. God bless. Have a good evening.